Who should not become a project manager?
If they don't know how to deal with like uncertainty, right? Because like every day is different for project manager. Of course, we have like some on a daily basis some work or stuff to do. Also, I want to highlight if you like to work alone. So if you are this person, definitely like this career is not for you because
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I think many of you have been asking about the role project manager and lot of confusions around project manager, product manager, program manager and all. So I think today's podcast will focus on project management as a career, and we learn a lot about who is a product manager, what are the roles and responsibilities, what are the key skills of a project manager, and what are the common questions, right? And how does the interview process work, what kind of companies hire, and much more. We'll be covering all of this, and we have an expert in the house. Thanks a lot, Violeta, for joining. She's a project manager with 5+ years experience, and she's from Toronto, Canada. And thanks a lot for joining. If you can give a quick introduction to the audience, it would be great.
Thanks so much, Manoj, for having me on this podcast. So as you mentioned, I'm a project manager with 5 years of experience, mostly working within the startup and corporate environments. I finished a bachelor degree in business administration, then received my postgrad certificate in international business management, and then I decided that, I want to try like different things. I pivoted 5 times and naturally grew from role to role. And this is how I ended up for now as a project manager. So basically I used all my transferable skills and managed to convert all my experience into the project management experience. And basically here's my short story.
Yeah, I think really interesting. You pivoted 5 times. So nowadays, even people are in fear, should they pivot or not? And the most important thing you highlighted is using the transferable skills, right? So many people don't use that, right? They always think, okay, I need to start from scratch. I need to build all the skills. Perfect. So let me start with the first question. What does a project manager actually do? And what is project management?
Yeah, I love this question because basically like project manager is the person who takes like a really like big idea or goal and turns it into reality. Right? So for example, you have idea of like building a house or building a skyscraper or opening a restaurant or like launching a new software app, right? So all these are ideas, but they means nothing if you don't like implement them in life, if you don't like turn it into the reality. So project manager is exactly that person who takes it and turns it into reality. So for example, like you need to build like a video game, right? So what will project manager do? So they will figure out like what the game should include inside, right? So this calls scope of work. Then he needs to decide like who needs to work on what, right? So we need like designers, we need artists for characters, we need like developers, programmers, we need musicians for soundtracks. So project manager decides like, okay, so who we need to make this video game a reality. Then we need to create like a timeline. So when needs to be done by what time? So characters needs to be like drawn by March, basic gameplay needs to be done by June, right? So we are building like a timeline. Then we need to make sure, like project manager needs to make sure that the team has everything that they need to succeed. So they have all the resources, and also project manager like keep track of the budget. So how much money do we need to make this idea a reality, right? And also project manager solves all the problems that are coming their way during the whole like project cycle, right? So if something happens, project manager is the person who comes and solves like all these problems. Also PMs, so they keep everyone on track, they keep everyone talking to each other, supporting each other. The main role of the project manager, if I can explain it like in a couple words, right? And also like project managers needs to be like both. They needs to be problem solvers, and they needs to be creative, and they needs to be good like planners, good organizers. So these like 3 main skills for the project managers to succeed in their role basically. And also your question was like, what is the project management, right? So I would say that project management is basically a smart way to get things done. It's the way how we operate, how we organize things, how we plan, right, to get something done. So make sure that we are like breaking down big goals into small ones. and make sure that, yes, we are reaching out these goals.
Yeah, perfect. I think the example was really useful. I think it gave a very clear understanding about the role. I think the next question I want to ask is very important. Like once people know what is the role about, so I want to ask like who should not become a project manager? Like this is a very important question because of which people can take a decision. Okay, should I take this career or not?
Yeah, of course. So definitely, like people might need to think twice about becoming a project manager or not if they don't know how to deal with like uncertainty, right? Because like every day is different for project manager. Of course, we have like some on a daily basis, some work or stuff to do, which is like repeatable on a daily basis, right? But in most cases, it's like dealing with uncertainty. So if you hate it, if you love like stability, if you know exactly what you're gonna do like next day from Monday to Friday, right? So this job might not be for you, that's for sure, right? Because like projects rarely go as planned, right? Of course, there are like some obstacles. You'll face constant like changes, surprises. You need to be super adaptable, right? So if you like, again, not really adaptable, you like everything should be like super planned and you need to stick to the plan without like any constraints in it, maybe this career like is not for you, right? Another thing that also I want to highlight, this career definitely is not for you if you like to work alone, right, and not in a team. So not all of the people are like team players, and this is totally fine. Some people prefer to work alone and they maybe are like introverted, they avoid some like interactions. So if you are this person, definitely like this career is not for you, because you will be spending like 80% of your time interacting, communicating with other people, supporting other people. And third tip is that if you are struggling to handle stress, if you are like avoiding it, or you are like you don't know how to cope with it, that's for sure is also not for you, right? Because in like while you're working as a project manager on your project, right, you'll often face with multiple issues at once, right? So when something go wrong, like everyone is like, yeah, where's the project manager, right? So some like, what's happened, why? So all the fingers will point on you, right? You need to deal with like tight deadlines, you need to figure out the solutions for the problems, right? So if there is like a problem, everyone will go to the project manager. So you're like mom and dad at your company, right? At the company that your work. Something happened, like, everyone goes to project manager. If you don't like it, if you are the person who is always like looking for the answers, like asking your manager, right? Other people, like you don't really like take like this type of things on your shoulders, definitely this career is not for you. If you are naturally love to solve issues, solve problems, help people, right? So yes, that career is for you.
Got it. I think I really love the analogy of mom and dad, because let's say as children, even now, right? If we have any problem, we often go to our mom and dad for like the first hand opinion or the solution.
Yes.
Perfect. So just to summarize, so they should love to be a team player. They should love to deal with uncertainties. They should love to deal with stress. They should always be not like looking for answers, but they should dig deep and find out answers and solutions and be creative. Yeah, perfect. And the next question is the very confusing question that most of the people have. So when we say PM, its abbreviation is project manager, program manager, product manager, right? So I think these are the three common abbreviations of the PM, right? And most people get confused because of that. So what's the difference between these three roles in terms of responsibilities? And even if you can give an example, right? Of like what's the difference between each role?
Yeah, that's a super cool question. Like every time I have, like when I post the comparison charts, like project manager, program manager, product manager, I often have debates under my posts, like people battling in the comments, right? Starting to say like, okay, but what's really the difference? Nobody really knows, right? So I think this is a great question to like break it down here. Like let's break it down by buckets, right? So project managers, they, for example, like they manage the opening of a new coffee shop location, right? So this is like a task, this is a goal, right? So this is a project, manage the opening of the new coffee location. So what do they do? They coordinate like construction of this place, they hiring people, they training, they launch, right? So they have specific timeline, for example 1 year, and they have specific budget, right? So what do they focus on? They focus on like how do we open this location successfully without any issues, problems. So this is project manager. So what does the program manager, right? So program manager, they oversee expansion into new markets. So for example, we want to open these coffee shops in new regions, right? So US, Canada, Europe, India, I know, like South Korea, right? So they oversee expansion into new countries and regions, right? They manage multiple store openings. They can sit in one place, but they manage multiple store openings. So what do? They coordinate like supply chains, marketing, operations across all of these countries, all of these coffee shop locations, right? So they basically caring about the experience and quality of opening these coffee shops, right? And what does the product manager do in all of this? Because we already have everything, right? But product manager's role is also very, very important here. So what do when we open the coffee shop? They decide what drinks and food items, right, will be on the menu. So what people will eat in this cafe, right? What they will drink. So they study different like customer preferences and market trends. For example, I don't know, like in some country, people love drinking coffee with milk, right? So that's in their culture. So maybe it will be one of the main positions on the menu, right? In other countries, people prefer not to drink coffee, just prefer drink tea, right? So they will have like variety of them. So they are responsible for new product launches, right? Inside of the cafe, maybe some like t-shirts, or I don't know, some like clothes that you can buy at the coffee shop, right? So they also work on the like pricing, products that this cafe will be selling, right? And they focus mainly on like what should we sell. If a project manager focuses on how do we successfully open this location, product manager does completely different thing. They're like, okay, so what are we gonna sell inside, right? How also we make people happy. And a project manager, program manager, and product manager, they have the one goal, right? They are like, okay, how we make everyone happy, right? All our stakeholders and clients, but everyone does like different role, right? So I hope it breaks down the difference like super clearly, and maybe when you hear these differences you decide, oh, maybe like I'm a product manager, right? And other person thinks like, oh no, I don't really like to choose what will be on the menu, right? So I like choose opening a new location, so I'm maybe like a project manager, right? So you can like hear and listen to this and decide like, okay, I tend to be like this or that, right? So yeah, I love this question, and I love this like simple explanation of like the differences.
Yeah, I think taking a very simple example like a coffee shop, which everyone can understand, I think it provides a lot of clarity. So just to summarize, a project manager is someone like who takes care of making the project a reality. And let's say a program manager is someone who takes care of expanding a project. So let's say now a project manager has set up a coffee shop at one place, which you told, like how they can replicate and make sure they establish the same in multiple locations. Whereas a product manager focuses more on improving the product by understanding the customer problem and making sure that they innovate on things that's offered in the coffee shop or the product. Perfect. I think this gave a lot of clarity. Yeah.
Amazing.
So now the next question is, I think now people will be clear what part they want to go. So the next question is, what are the top 5 project management skills?
That's a cool question, because we have like thousands of different skills that are like in the top charts nowadays. But if I need to kind of provide like top 5 or top 10, I would divide them: hard skills and soft skills, right? So hard skills, technical skills, and soft skills, people skills, right? So if we start with the hard skills, technical skills, definitely it's like planning, scheduling, budgeting, risk management, cost control. So these are the most like important ones for project managers. The good news here is that you can obviously like learn any of these skills, right? You can learn them, then you can practice, have experience, and you're basically a really great project manager. For the soft skills, it's a little bit complicated because soft skills, it's like people skills. So for project managers, top is the communication, right? So this is very huge. This is very huge because, as I mentioned, you communicate on a daily basis like 80% of your time, and you need to be translator. You need to be translator. What does it mean? Translator between different groups. So very often you need to translate like requirements for non-technical people. So for example, you need to translate some documentation, right, for front-end developers. So you are translating this part, or like vice versa, you need to take this information from front-end developers and explain it in the human language to your stakeholders that don't understand like specific terms. So you need to be a really, really good communicator, and also most importantly, listening well. So this is the skill that go like number one in the soft skills, near the communication, listening well. If you're a good listener, you're already like a successful project manager, because you need to deal with ambiguity very often, and this is why you need to listen very well to not just like what other person is saying to you, right, but also see the body language, how they say it, what do they really mean, right, are they happy or not, like what is the requirements. So this is like very important. Another thing that also I would add is the leadership and team management. So you are dealing with your team, with people you work with, so you need to motivate them, right? You need to be an example, you need to be a leader, you need to guide them. You are not like, leadership is not micromanagement, right? So you're not that manager who's like, so leadership is not like checking on your team every 5 minutes, hey, like what's the update on this and that, what are you doing, right? No, this is not a leadership, right? It's micromanagement, and it just shows that you are not really confident person. So I recommend to everyone just staying, like avoiding it, right? So leadership, time management, right? So motivating people when things get tough, right? Getting everyone work together, knowing each team member's strengths and weaknesses. This is important. If you know like, okay, so this person is really good at this, so let's put him on this project, right? Or let's put him on this task. He'll be thriving there. If this person doesn't really like doing ABC, let's take it off, right, from here. So let's expose their best traits and their best, like at what they are doing their best, right? So this is like very important. Also, project managers are really good, like they're really good at problem solving and adaptability, right? So you need to be adaptable because business changes so fast nowadays. We see like every day something happening, like new tools, new apps, launches of like a new, I don't know, like ideas. You need to be adaptable, you need to see how the world changes, and you also need to kind of adapt and basically be comfortable with the change. You need to switch between plans super quickly, and again, if you are like really good at it, if you do not afraid of like changing on a daily basis, this role is definitely for you. From my perspective, for project managers, it's like 80% of success is using correctly their soft skills. So soft skills really rules the world, right? And for this role as a project manager, this is like 80% of success, right? And 20% of course of the hard skills, because hard skills, everyone can learn it. Like just take the course, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, learn it, apply it, boom, you're ready. But soft skills, this is something we need all to work the whole life. I can't say I'm like 10 out of 10 of my leadership skills. No, definitely. And I don't know other person who's like 10 out of 10 on this. And this is great because we always have room for development, room for growth in these skills.
Perfect. I think the next quick cross question is, do project managers need to know how to code, right? Because you told about technical skills, but you would also work with developers, right? So do you need to know how to code?
Okay, so answer on this question will be no. You don't need to know how to code, because your job is to manage the project, not to code it. So focus on being a great project manager first, using these soft skills, people skills, right? So what matters the most is not your coding skills, although you might work in the tech environment as the PM, like there are like lots of amazing technical PMs, right? And they don't know how to code, and this is normal. This is absolutely normal, right? Because what makes you a great PM is it's not your kind of ability to code, it's your ability to ask the right questions, understand the technical discussions, as I mentioned, translate to the non-technical person, right? So you need to be good at it. So know when something needs have like more research or more investigation, and make informed decisions. So this will allow you to manage projects successfully, not your coding skills. But it will be just a great bonus if you know how to code. That's for sure. For example, like I know how to code because I've been also a front-end developer. But if I wouldn't know how to code, that's also fine, because you need to have other skills how to manage the project.
So the next thing is, I think you told about a lot of skills. You work with a lot of people as a project manager. So what are the common tools a project manager uses which are involved in all this process?
Yeah, so for the tools, I would say it depends from company to company, right? Because we have like different environments. So people work in corporate environments, in startup environments, but I would say the top project management tools, softwares that like PMs needs to know, right? No matter like what environment, is like you need to have one main project management tool: Jira, Asana, Monday.com, right? Microsoft Project, right? You need to have one communication tool. So for example, Slack. What else? What do we else have? I think
Teams.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah,
Slack, Teams. So one communication tool, again, depends on the company. For example, in my company, we use Slack. Love it. One document management system. So place where you store all the documents, right? Folders. So for example, Google Workspace, right? Like Microsoft again. And also one like specialized tools for your specific needs. So for example, like tools for building like Gantt charts, right? There are like also different tools on the market. Again, depends on the company. So one tools for your needs, maybe for the risk management, for budgeting. So tools needs to make your work easier, like not complicated. So this is the core thing. It doesn't matter like what you use, it's like also how you use, right? And tools are not for like having it, right? Tools are for using. So the best tool is the one your team actually use. That's it. This is the best tool. If they use it, boom, you're already winning, right? So you might ask, okay, how do I know which tool I need to learn now, right? Like today, if I want to become a project manager. That's super easy. Okay, so you go to LinkedIn and you find different, like you find 10 jobs, right, that they're hiring right now. So you find it in your country, in your city. You select like, I don't know, depending on your level, junior, mid, senior project manager, right? So you take 10 job descriptions and you save it in the PDF file on your computer. And you start highlighting the tools that every job is asking for you to know, right? And when you see some like similarities, so for example, 7 out of 10 jobs requires to know Asana. Boom, that means that you need to know Asana maybe, right? This is like your sign. If 10 out of 10 jobs requires to know you Jira because you want to work in IT as a PM, right? Then go take a course and learn Jira, right? So this is how we find the tools how to learn. So this is my hack. But this is how I also learn about new tech stack, about new tools that I need to know as a PM to stay on track with this world. The same goes for skills.
got it. Perfect. So I think the next question is, now we have covered skills, we have covered tools. The next part is getting hired, right? So what kind of companies hire project managers?
The question is great. The answer is simple. Any company. You just need to select an industry. Because imagine this. There is no company that don't need a project manager. That's for sure. Because they need someone to manage your projects, to manage your ideas, to make it in the reality. So everyone needs a PM. Any company is hiring. You need to select an industry. And this is the most complicated thing, because it depends from the industry to industry what skills and tools you need to know. Because being the clinical project manager in the medical space, right, in like pharmaceuticals is totally different than being a construction project manager. So you need to know like different things. You need to be somehow a subject matter expert on these things, right? So if you are like, for example, like if you like marketing and you feel like, okay, I want to manage some creative projects, right? So just look for the companies that are hiring in that space. So it's not about the like what companies you need to look for, it's about the industry. So you need to be super specific with the industry. If you don't know what industry to select, right, this is also fine. Maybe you're at the beginning of your path. This is normal. What I recommend to do is doing the discovery calls with the people who are already in this space, right? So for example, you think that you would like to be like construction project manager, right? But then you are jumping on the call with the person who already there. You ask a couple questions like, hey, what is your like daily routine? What is your day-to-day responsibilities? And they start explaining to you that, do you know that I'm not sitting in the office? Do you know that I'm on site every day? So you go to site and yes, you're a project manager. You don't like building bricks by yourself, right? But you are manage the project on the site. So you, right, like you are on the feet all the day. Are you ready for this? And you like realize, oh, maybe that's not for me, right? Maybe like I like to sit in the office. The most complicated thing is to define the industry. Once you define the industry, boom, you're done.
Cool. So the next question is, how does a project manager interview process looks like? What are the common rounds? I think let's focus on software or internet companies as a industry here.
Okay. Yeah, again, the number of rounds, right, of the interview process depends on a company. So the bigger the company, the more complicated this process is. So it could range from 3, 4 to 6 rounds of interviews, right? So it depends. Again, depends on the company. If it's like a small company, maybe like 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and you're done. Boom, you're hired, right? If it's like a company that has like 10K employees, right? Maybe it's like 6 rounds. So the very first interview is the initial screening with the recruiter, right? With the someone from the talent acquisition team. It usually lasts for like 30 minutes. Super easy. They ask you like general questions about you, about your experiences, about your past, why looking for a job, like what's your salary expectations, remote, on site, what's your preference. So they're just checking if you are the kind of normal person, right? So how do you reply, right? What's your expectations? They also tell you about the company. Like it usually takes like 5 minutes. They ask you some like general questions. So this is like initial screening with HR, right? So also it depends whether it's whether via phone, right? They can just call you on the phone, or it's online, right? Via like Zoom, for example, or Google Meet. So most of people I talk with, they're like, I land like these first interviews, but then they're not inviting me to the second interview. Do you know why? I don't know why, right? Because I'm not at the interview. But here's what I can say to you. So everyone thinks that these like first interviews, they're super easy, right? Because they're just like, they're not with the hiring manager, they're with basically with HRs, with the recruiters. They're super easy. They like ask easy questions, right? But here's the trick. They are asking you these questions not to check your like technical sides, how like experienced you are, all of this stuff. No, they already seen it in your resume. What they really check is like whether you fit in their team, like culturally, like what type of person you are, what type of character you have, right? Are you like positive, outgoing, for example, and because all of their team members are like this, right? Or maybe you are more like a concentrated, like serious person, right? So they are checking on your like character and see if you possibly fit their team, right? What type of leader you are, what communication style you have. So they're checking on all of this by asking you like super simple questions where you can feel naturally. So this is very important. You need to pay attention to this first round in order to be invited to the second round. So the second round, usually for project managers, is, and I believe for the rest jobs too, is a 30-minute talk or 45-minute meeting with the hiring manager. Who is hiring manager? So hiring manager is your possibly future boss, right? Is your manager. Person who you will work with, and he will be above you, right? So you will ask any questions to them if you have like any issues, right? You will manage projects with them, so you will be reporting to this person. This is very important interview because possibly it's your future colleague that you will work with on a daily basis for years, right? So what do? They dive deep into your experience. They're asking for your experience with projects, your leadership style, how you handle specific situations. They might ask you some technical questions if we talk if you're planning to work in like IT, for example, right? Software development space. So they see how you handle stress, your like project management approach. They also check how you like processing information, if you take time to think before like replying to any questions. So this is like the second round, right? If you pass this second round with the hiring manager, the third round is they are checking your technical skills, or they provide you some skill assessment, right? So it depends. They can share it you offline and you have couple days to submit it, right? Or they schedule a call for you, and in a live right, like live, you start basically some like skill assessment, right? Or they checking this like technical knowledge assessment. So it can include like, for example, they can ask you like create like a project plan, or solve some case study, or show like how you will use this or that like PM tool, or how you will like analyze some project scenario. They will give you some project scenario and they will ask you the questions that will follow it, and they will see how you will solve this or that issue. So your thought process. So they will analyze. This is like third round. And like fourth round, it's usually the team interview. So again, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, usually, yeah, half an hour. So you will meet with the rest of team, 2-3 people, and you speak with other PMs from this team, right? So they will ask you also questions about like how you handle stakeholders. So they will see how you culturally fit. They will also like just chat with you about like, okay, what do you like to do on your free time? So it's like a casual chat. But again, it's not super casual, because again, they assessing you if you will be a great fit for this team. So there is like no easy process, easy rounds. Every round will be like tricky, because everyone is like checking on your like thought process, how you respond, how you behave, how you react even, right, in your like body language. Yeah. So I would say this is like a 4 measure round for project managers that you need to be ready for.
Got it. Perfect. This is the last question. I think I've seen you posting content on LinkedIn. That's why I got to know about you. I reached out to you for the podcast. Right? So, what's the importance of personal branding and being active on a professional social media, like maybe LinkedIn or Twitter, where you share what you are learning, or where you are sharing your projects, your experience, etc. Right? How important it is for a project manager or someone aspiring to become one?
Love this question. Thank you so much for that. So I would say it's not just important for project managers, it's important for everyone, right? It's important for everyone to have some personal branding, or having like, for example, like you, Manoj, you're having podcasts, right? You also have some blog on LinkedIn, or I'm having like a blog on LinkedIn. So I'm posting something. Or this is like very important for your personal and professional brand both. What I can say, if you don't like posting or be exposed to other people, like if you're like private person, right, you don't like sharing or like oversharing information, you don't need to. What you can do, you can start even like from your newsletter, right? You can start from newsletter and just populating it on LinkedIn. You can start writing the newsletter within the LinkedIn, basically sharing your PM experience, PM expertise, sharing some like skills maybe you learned recently, tools, right? Your wins, challenges, solutions, so everything you can share with other people. Therefore, showing to potential employers, recruiters, that you are not just like a regular PM, you're also doing something useful for this world, maybe for other PMs, by showing, okay, what you've learned, what you've done so far. So this is very important nowadays. When we just like work 9 to 5, this is fine. But also it's interesting to have, I think, something beside that, even like when you spend 1 hour a day on your professional personal brand. Because again, when we work for someone, right, it doesn't have like any security. If you work for yourself, it also doesn't give you security. Like nothing gives you security in this world. But you can still build something on your side, like even spending like 1 hour per your professional brand, by writing a newsletter, writing a post, sharing some interesting stories, information, right, on LinkedIn, right? You don't need to post like your images or so, right? Just maybe having some, like posting some cheat sheets, talking to other project managers, even just to grow inside your space and having other perspective on things. So one of the reasons also why I'm posting different like materials stuff on LinkedIn is that I really love checking what other PMs also do, right? So for example, like they're posting about like their experiences, right? Or they are having different perspective on the same problem, right? And I'm reading that, I'm like, oh, I have an insight, right? So like, thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm replying to them that, wow, this is very, very interesting. So having this like different perspective on things gave me so much growth as a project manager. What if I just like staying, like in my bubble, being a project manager 9 to 5, and don't really like see what other people do or like think? That's why it's very important to build that professional brand, to be invited to different things, to share your knowledge. For example, like you, Manoj, invited me to this podcast. Very interesting, right? Because like I can share my expertise and experience with other people and maybe inspire them to become also project managers. And this is also maybe it's also your mission, right? So this is very, very important. Another part that I want to add is that when we sharing like our experiences, right, when we're sharing our perspective on things with different people, is just showing also for your future employers or recruiters, right, that okay, you're like a specialist in this, right? Maybe you're a subject matter expert on this. They will remember you, and next time when they need a project manager, they will come into your DM, write you, and like, hey, let's chat, let's have this like intro call, right? So like this is very, very important, to be open to this world, share your knowledge, and do not afraid like what other will think about you. We don't care. We care about our professional brand, we care about our personal brand, and we care about the things that we want to help to this world become better place. That's it.
Yeah, I think it really gave a lot of insights. I think one thing I understood is like investing in a personal brand is like an asset, right? Which will never degrade. It will always keep on growing or compounding, right? And second thing you told that was very interesting is it's not about you sharing something, but also it's about learning from others and understanding others' perspective, also getting feedbacks. Thanks a lot for the podcast. It was very interesting, and thanks a lot everyone for watching this.
Thank you, Manoj, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for watching this. Yeah, let's all stay in touch. Thank you.